Welcome to Fluido Moments, our podcast series where we will talk about what's it like to be a Fluidian, what we do every day, and what our culture is all about. This is your backstage pass to all things Fluido. Welcome to Fluido Moments, our podcast series for what is Fluido and our culture and all things fun at Fluido. And today I have you, Karoline, here. But I'm going to let you introduce yourself. My name is Pauliina Löytty, and you know that already. But for whoever is listening to us, Head of People and Culture at Fluido. And today we're going to be talking about what's it like to be a consultant at Fluido. So without further ado, we have a consultant here. So I'm not going to steal your thunder. Please, can you just let me know who you are, where you're from, and actually your story also. I want to hear how you got to Fluido. Well, that kind of no, but it's a fun story. So please.
Yeah. My name is Karoline. I work in the Danish office. I'm from Denmark. I work as a consultant, and I've been with Fluido since 2013. So almost 6 years now, actually. I have 2 kids at home, Emma and Sarah, 2 and 4 years old.
And so cute. They are super cute girls.
Well, I think so.
You should, yes.
So I live with them and my husband in Copenhagen. And so the way I joined Fluido...
Yeah, because I actually know, because I'm kind of a little bit involved in that story, aren't I? So what's the full story? How did you end up at Fluido?
Well, so after my studies, I went to Stockholm together with my husband. We got a job there working at a software company. And I was supposed to be an application specialist for their program, training people, doing demos, doing pre-sales, stuff like that, doing support. But when I got hired and I got there, they were like, hey, we have this CRM system. It's called Salesforce, but we don't have any admins. So it could be really nice having someone to actually take care of our system. Would you do that? And I was like, sure. I know nothing about this, but that sounds great. And they sent me to the admin course in Stockholm. And I had the most amazing instructor, you know. Her name is Pauliina, sitting right in front of me.
That was me. Yes, I was teaching that course, yeah.
And I just loved it. It was amazing. It was a great start with the admin course because it just gave me like the big overview of a system I didn't actually know. And from there, it just took on because it was supposed to be this like small, tiny thing, part of my job, doing a little bit of admin there and then doing my actual job. But in the end, I tried to, push more and more for me to just do Salesforce. And little by little, I did get to, have that as the major part of my job, actually. But in the end, we actually wanted to go back to Denmark after some time in Stockholm. And I'd been working with Fluido. So they helped us, or we helped us out, like building things that I couldn't do myself, things like that. So I contacted Fluido and applied there. And then asked, hey, but I actually want to go to the Danish department. And the funny thing about my application was actually that at the beginning I didn't hear anything. And then I went to the Salesforce event in Stockholm. I met Fluido there, of course, and I went to talk to them. I was like, hey, I sent an application. I really would like to join you guys in the Danish office. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I'll find someone you should meet. And then he grabbed me later and I was like, hey, I want you to meet this guy. And I was like, oh, okay. After talking a little bit with him and, he was asking about me, of course. And after a little while, I was like, oh, okay. So what's your position at Fluido? Because I hadn't really heard his introduction. And he was like, oh, well, my name is Kai. I'm the CEO. I was like, oops. I'm not getting this job now.
What did you talk to him about?
Oh, no. So, I still got a job interview. So
I'm glad you did. But I remember that training. It was a fun week.
It was.
I remember. We had a really good group. Um, most of all of the trainings are great, but I remember that one obviously then because it's a few years later then that you joined.
Yeah.
So
yeah, about a year later.
Yeah. So you went from then application specialist and doing all sorts of things and managing Salesforce on the side to talking with the CEO without knowing. And then joining Fluido in the Copenhagen office.
Yeah.
It was a tiny office at that time, wasn't it? When you started?
It was. There was like 5 people there when I started. We were in this tiny room, the size of this like a small meeting room. And actually, it was a meeting room in somebody else's office that we had. So now we were suddenly, I think we were 2 starting the same day. So now we were 7 or something. And we couldn't fit in that tiny meeting room, but so we changed offices, of course. But it was crazy, going from back then, we were 7. And now, I don't know, we're like 35 or something in Denmark.
Yep.
It's definitely has been a great journey.
So you then, obviously being that small of an office, you probably did a lot of things in the beginning, like all sorts of things. So I'm pretty sure people listening to us maybe want to know, what does a consultant do at Fluido? What do you do in particular?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, we started out as a very small office in Denmark. That also means that my job as a consultant has actually changed a lot. So in the beginning, you would be running a lot of projects at the same time, and there were also smaller projects. But more from the point of where I am now, it's not like 5 projects at a time usually, but it's still the same way of working in a way. It's still so many different things. So as a consultant, I'm part of the whole journey, I feel like, in most projects. So you are part in the beginning where you need to figure out what is it this customer really need and how do I help them? What is it we need to focus on? And then also, helping them out with the right solution for them, figuring out first what's the problem, but then also how to solve it. And then, of course, together with your whole team. And when you have a solution, of course, you also need to do the implementation, which I also take part in. And the demos of what you then implement and documenting what you did. And in the end, being part of the whole go live and data manipulation, maybe. So it's just everything.
What's your favorite part?
I think the start and the middle. So like figuring out what it is we need to do and the problem solving and then actually getting it to work, like that feeling when you have like this really annoying problem and you have brainstormed it together with all your colleagues and finally you got it to work. Like that's super great. And when you see the customer just say like, oh, that's really great. It really helps me out.
It makes you feel good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember from being a consultant myself before I was in this role, that was also my favorite part, is to wow the customer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Especially when it's those things where it's actually not a big thing you did. And then there's one thing where you say, oh, I really put so much effort into it and it took 5 weeks and now we got this result and the customer's happy. That's one thing. But it's also a special thing when you actually get to do something really small that makes the customer super, super happy. I think that's also a great thing with Salesforce because there's these fun functionalities sometimes where you're like, hey, if we just do this tiny bit, it's going to help you tremendously.
Yeah. Yeah, it is great. And then you learn these little things all the time, don't you?
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're ever ready? I mean, you've been doing Salesforce for quite a while, so you are quite an expert. But do you ever feel like you know everything?
No, really not. There's always new things, especially because there always comes new features, of course, but there's always new requirements that you hadn't thought about before where you have to figure out another way of doing it, right?
Yeah.
Which is also the fun part, right? So projects are never the same, even though it seems like, hey, these are 2 Sales Cloud implementations and they might need similar things, but it's never the same.
There's always something that a customer needs and something you want to, yeah. Yeah. And I remember exactly that as well, that you always go into a new project with like a fresh start. And it's pretty neat feeling.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what's your typical day like?
Well, I think it's actually kind of like what we said that, well, my job is very different tasks. And that's the same with my day usually. So I don't think I have a day where I do the same thing for a whole day, which is also the great thing. You always change around. So I think a typical day would probably start out, of course, checking some emails, figuring out if there's anything urgent you have to attend to, putting things on your to-do list that will change during the day. And usually I would have some status meeting, probably with my customer, about, either demoing something we're doing or have some follow-up questions or need to talk about some of the requirements. And then there's usually something else you need to get implemented or test what I did yesterday, something like that. It's usually, so in that way, it's a big mix of things usually. And then, of course, there are the days where then suddenly the customer calls you and your to-do list has to go in the trash and you just have to prioritize something totally different than you thought.
Start all over. Yeah. Whatever you thought was the truth at 8:00 in the morning is something completely different.
Yeah.
And do you work mostly from the office or do you go to the customer's site, or how does it work for you?
Yeah, for me at the moment, I am around 3 days a week. I sit at the customer and then 2 days at the Fluido office. And the days where I'm at the Fluido office, I might actually stay at home some of the times or some of the days just to work from home, because it makes the whole, my life easier sometimes. And I love that flexibility because then I can take out the travel time and do a bit more extra work that day. Or, I can just leave earlier to pick up the kids because I don't have the travel time to include.
Yeah, isn't that nice though?
It's super nice.
Yeah, I value that as well.
Yeah, I really need that in an everyday life. Also, because you never know with kids, right? Then they get sick or they just have an off day and they shouldn't be in kindergarten that long. Then it's just super nice that you can, work when it fits you. So, of course, it needs to match with my meetings and everything. But then sometimes, I might just leave a bit earlier and then I might work a bit in the evening if that makes sense that day to spend some more time with the kids, right?
Yeah. That's nice. And and to take care of some running things. Sometimes you need to do those.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that flexibility is just gold to me.
I'm glad to hear. And I like I said, I appreciated that as well, appreciate that still myself. Well, how about the days that you are at the office? What's your favorite part?
At the Fluido office?
At the Fluido office, yes.
It's my coworkers. I love going to the office. So that's also why I don't just stay home all the days I'm not at the customer. I love going to the office, both for the social life there. We just have so much fun. But also to, what's it called? Sorry. But also to talk about the problems that I get from the customers. The other day, I had a problem. I was just blank. I couldn't find out how do we solve this best. And sometimes it's really good to go to someone who's not part of your project because they see everything differently because they don't know all the background, right? So I went to my colleague and I was like, I just need 10 minutes of your time. I'll just explain you really easily this small thing. And he just came with a whole nother angle than any of us came with because we were so focused on what we have in the system right now. So the whole thing about having all these experts around you, is just worth so much.
Yeah, I often say when a customer kind of gets one of us, you also get a whole team behind that person.
You get everyone else, but only if you let us sit at our own office sometimes, right?
That's true. Yeah, because we do a lot of knowledge sharing and we do a lot of learning from each other and this out-of-the-box thinking.
Yeah, and it's much more when you actually are at the office. Because if you can always call someone, of course, but it takes me more. I needed more. I have to need it more to call someone.
True.
Than if I'm just sitting there and I'm like, hey, could you just, give me your perspective of this? Then like that's just so much easier. And it takes maybe 5 minutes instead of having to set up a meeting and do a call. And it's just so different.
It is. And you can do it on the, while you're drinking coffee on the side sometimes. Yeah.
It's part of the socializing in some ways.
Yeah. It's. I do also value our colleagues very much in there, and I like it when you said, all these experts around you, because I really truly think if there's one way of describing the people, this group of experts, and a true trait of an expert is that they want to share information. Yeah. They want to teach each other and teach other people. Because when you know what you're doing, when you're an expert, you don't need to hold on to that small piece of knowledge that you have, because it's okay. And on the contrary, you want to share.
Yeah, I feel that's very much how it is in Fluido. That we're not competing, we are working together. So even though we're not on the same project, we all everybody always seems open to help each other out. Even though it doesn't benefit me right now, but it benefits the team and it benefits Fluido's projects. Yeah. And everybody's always so open to just help out if they're in need.
Yeah, it's I appreciate that as well. So let me ask you also, what do our company values mean to you?
Well, I really like our company values, actually. I see them as kind of I see them kind of like the thing that defines us. It's what makes us unique in some way. Because, for instance, I don't know any other company that would have "we believe in superheroes" in their official company values. And when I tell people, they're like, "What?" No, but that's how we are. And I feel like it's just the way we are, really are defined really well in those values.
Yeah. So kind of like a baseline to the things that we do on a daily basis, or framework?
Both the way you need to believe in our values to work here, I would say, because else it doesn't work, because this is very much a big part of who we are and the way we work. And actually in my team, we have it very close to our working. Every week we have our team meeting, and our team lead has actually practiced now since we started our new team that every time we'll start out with everybody reflecting their week against the company values. So you have to choose a value and then tell why did you choose this one to reflect your last week.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah. So it's always like, oh, well, today I'm choosing "we believe in superheroes" because last week or the past week, my team in this project just did amazing things. Or, I choose "trust" because last week I wasn't able to do something, but someone just took over and did it for me, and I just trust them, and it's amazing. Things like that. So we're actually using them.
Yeah. That is brilliant. Really, really nice. Yeah. And it makes you think about what it is that you're doing.
Exactly. And it actually makes us think about those values instead of them just being in some company paper somewhere. I think it actually makes a difference.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Well, it has come time for the last question.
Ooh.
Yes. So I'm going to ask you, what is your Fluido moment?
Well, I will say that my Fluido moment is actually a time where I had not been that much part of Fluido for a little while. I'd been on my second maternity leave, and I came back on a Monday, and I was asked to go and present myself as the lead consultant in this big project 2 days later. And I was terrified because I had not been spoken English for the past year pretty much, and only baby language. And I was like, are you sure about this? But the trust and confidence that was given me there was just so much Fluido to me. I was so proud that Fluido still trusted me to go there. And like that feeling was just, okay, they really believe in me and like I'm appreciated here. It was really great. So it was a bit terrifying, but it went good. And
that was
it was a great
moment.
Feeling. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a bonus question.
Ooh.
Yeah. So what is, so that was the Fluido moment, like what Fluido means to you, or something that encompasses what is Fluido to you. But what has been, if you had to choose one of your favorite moments where it's like you've enjoyed yourself so much, or has been something that you're going to remember, sitting in your rocking chair later on or something, anything. And I know I'm putting you on the spot because just anything.
I think it's not like one moment maybe, but the social things at Fluido, when the feeling I get when I'm at a social event at Fluido, in the past, I've not been that much a fan maybe of social events because I never, you always have this feeling, oh, do I fit in and stuff when in Fluido for like company days or even smaller events in Copenhagen. I feel like I fit in.
Yeah.
Like that. And that's just the best feeling, I don't need a special person to know that I can always go to this person. I just know I'm here with friends, and no matter who I goes to, even though I don't know them, they are Fluidians, and I can just go talk to them, which is an awesome feeling.
Yeah. And it helps at a company day if they're dressed up as,
oh, definitely,
piece of Tetris or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or whatever. Whatever.
Well, I had fun on my rollerblades last time. So
I remember.
That was
that was a lot of fun. So then what we're going to do is I'm just going to wrap it up. Thank you very much for joining me and taking the time from your busy schedule of work and home
no problem.
to come here. And let me just see my notes here because I have, yes. So we actually have a website for this podcast series. So fluidomoments.com, where you can go and have a look at this clip and any or all of the other ones that we've done. Good. But thank you, Karoline.
Yeah, thank you for having me.